May I be the first to say good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock.
You're listening to 98.3 FM, WRLR LP, Round Lake Heights, Illinois.
Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show, the cutting-edge talk show about legal, political, and current issues. Practicing in both Wisconsin and Illinois, David Mierswa is a leading trial attorney bringing nearly 2 decades of business law, family law, personal injury, and estate planning experience to you. The Dave Mierswa Show, about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. The Dave Mierswa Show, its guests, agents, and WRLR are not rendering any legal advice. All listeners are encouraged to seek legal advice from properly licensed and qualified professionals.
Good afternoon. I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. A little cold out there, but we are alive. The cold air is ripping through the Midwest, but thank God we do not live on the East Coast. Oh my God, you see all the storm just out in New York. The weather forecast out there was it's only going to be 6-7 inches, and then it got up to 10 to 12 inches of snow, and then 15 inches of snow, and then I think JFK had over like 21 inches of snow, and it just went on from there. So hey, I'm glad they got it. We didn't, but hey, putting all that great cold weather aside, it's Dave Mierswa. I'm host of my own show called the Dave Mierswa Show. It's the show about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. This show is about educating you on hotbed topics that we are talking about behind closed doors, not so much out in public, but this show is in-your-face topics that I will bring to you live. That's right, this is a live broadcast every Sunday at 12 noon. I've been a lawyer for almost 20 years. I've seen almost everything inside and outside a courtroom. You wouldn't believe the stories that I have. I will share them with you on this radio show. So again, it's my pleasure to bring you the show on WRLR. WRLR is a family-friendly radio station, as well as my show. So we got a great array of DJs, also other talk shows as well. So feel free to stay tuned in all throughout the week. I'm bringing you hard, fast topics today. I got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to pack a lot in here in this hour. So I want to get my shout outs out of the way here. I'm going to get right into my material. So I got a quick read here. Lakeview Fishing Foundation has a promotion, Hug Your Troops fundraiser. The Lakeview Fishing Foundation, a non-for-profit organization, presents their fundraiser called Hug Our Troops. That's right, Hug Our Troops. I can't think of a better fundraising event than for our troops. All donors will be able to send a Valentine greeting to an active military personnel of your choosing, or have one of the many in Lakeview's list. All proceeds are to go directly to Lakeview's Text for Vets program, a program that helps our military veterans attending college and pay for textbooks. That's pretty cool. The fundraiser ends on February 11th, so you got plenty of time to donate. If you want to donate, go to lakeviewfishingfoundation.org. That's lakeviewfishingfoundation.org, or call 847-740-9178, 847-740-9178. Also, I got my usual shout-outs that I give here. Reach Rescue is a non-for-profit, non-kill animal shelter located in Mundelein. If you want to adopt any dogs or animals, and in particular cats and dogs, stop by there. Again, they are a non-for-profit. Right next door is a resale shop. So if you have any furniture, anything you want to donate, you get a tax deduction. And about 90% of that money goes towards saving animals. I can't think of a better cause than saving animals here. So Reach Rescue. Also, if you're looking at adopting, there's Kay's Animal Shelter located in Arlington Heights. So you can stop by there. Again, that's Kay's Animal Shelter located in Arlington Heights. And then out here by Round Lake Beach, there's another organization called Save a Pet. They are located on Fairfield Road, just up the street here from the studios, and they're located in Grays Lake. So again, that's Save a Pet. They have dogs and cats for adoption there. They have an awesome facility. But again, if you're not doing anything today, get outside and go for a drive to Mundelein. I always recommend Reach Rescue because most of their money goes towards saving animals. Okay, so that's all my shout outs today. So today is part 2 of my 2016 predictions of what I think is going to be happening in 2016. And I've been watching a lot of the politics and the law and all the social events that have been taking place in 2015 and the near past. And I got to say, these heated topics are not going to go away. They are only going to build more speed in the media, and you will see this and you will rehear all these issues in 2016 and beyond. Okay, the first one I want to play for you is Bill Cosby. And this guy was an icon for many, many years. And 50 women came forward and allegedly were abused by him. So I think this is going to be very well heated in 2016. Let me play my first audio clip concerning Bill Cosby. Again, these are only allegations, but when you got 50 people coming forward in the eye of the public and in the public jury and in the public eye, he is pretty well shot his career. So, maybe he'll bounce back from this, but 50 women have come forward now, and it seems to be the same pattern. So again, this is all alleged. He's been charged with a crime, and it's really sad to see such an icon fall like this. But anyway, let me play the first audio clip.
Breaking news for the first time, Bill Cosby has been criminally charged with aggravated indecent assault. This is a sexual assault charge tying back to a case in 2004 against the then Temple University employee, Andrea Constant. When she first brought her case to the authorities, she was told in 2005 that there was not sufficient evidence to bring charges. Now a new district attorney, Kevin Steele, in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, disagrees. He has brought charges. Here's what he said just moments ago.
We are here to announce today charges that have just been filed against William Henry Cosby. These charges stem from a sexual assault that took place on an evening in early 2004 at Mr. Cosby's home in Cheltenham Township, Montgomery County. Mr. Cosby is charged with aggravated indecent assault. This is a felony of the first degree. Mr. Cosby's attorney has been notified of the charges, and he is expected to be arraigned later this afternoon.
All right, let's talk about all of this. Gene Casares, our CNN reporter who's been on this story from the very beginning, legal analyst Danny Savalos, Joey Jackson. Gene, to you.
Okay, so that was a broadcast a ways back when he was charged with a first-degree felony. So he's looking at quite a few years in prison. So this is pretty serious. And I know with all the elections and all the politicians out there and so forth, this kind of got lost in the media shuffle. So I wanted to replay this because when I grew up, Bill Cosby was an on-star TV and really broke down a lot of the race relations and so forth. And so he really was an icon. But when you have 50 women that are coming forward with the same pattern of being allegedly drugged and then assaulted, which that's kind of hard to beat, 50 women. But the sad thing is, if this is true, with all the 50 women out there, the statute, we have what's known in law called a statute of limitations. That's a statute of limitations. You can Google it. So on civil cases and also on some criminal matters, such as sexual assault, they put a time limit. So once 5 or 10 years goes by, they can't be charged criminally or civilly. And that's really sad because, what if the person has, excuse me, has repressed, memories or whatever, or they were afraid to come forward. And it's really sad because a lot of people get away with the crime and so forth. And also in civil law. Usually in civil law, if he's going to get sued, it could be some kind of tort for assault or battery or whatever it was. Here in Illinois, there's a 1-year statute of limitations. So what that means is if you don't file within 1 year of that act being committed against you, you are barred from coming into the courts and suing on that one cause of action, and that's called a tort. Now, you could probably sue under negligence. Negligence is basically someone owed you a care of duty, and that care of duty was breached. Here in Illinois, we have a 2-year statute of limitations. But here it is. A lot of these people waited for 5, 10, 15 years to come forward, and they have no recourse in the law, either criminally or civilly, which, in my opinion, I guess you have good and bad. You got to put a time duration on this stuff, or people would be filing lawsuits from 100, 200 years ago, which people have tried. People have tried to toll the statute of limitations in certain cases, but usually it doesn't work. I've had several lawyers that tried to argue that over the years in some of the cases I've been involved, and we file what's known as a 619 motion, that actually a 619-9A motion in Illinois, and it gets thrown out of court, okay? And here is a case where over 30 years, 35 years of being a public figure icon, and he's facing some pretty serious charges out in, I guess it's Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, being charged with a felony. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that coming in the media in between all the politics in 2016. Obviously, the politics in 2016 is going to take a forefront. For those of you who are just waking up into the politics, next week, we got 1 week before the Iowa caucus. This is huge. This is huge, folks. Last week was part 1 of my 2016 predictions. And I predicted that there were going to be 3 remaining candidates in the Republican race. It's going to be Trump at the top, Ted Cruz, or Rubio. Rubio is going to be possibly taking over Ted Cruz, but the rest, Jeb Bush and a lot of the other ones, will be sticking around. But I predict that a lot of those Republican clients will be basically turning over, turning tail and quitting in about a couple of months once we get more of the statistics. So let me get into my next topic here, an audio clip. Everyone discounted Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders versus Clinton. Okay, and there's also a third candidate out on the Democratic wing, but he's really a foregone conclusion at this point. But no one thought that Bernie Sanders would have staying power against the Clintons. And also a week and a half ago, they unleashed Chelsea. Chelsea was out stomping for Hillary, which was just amazing. She's out, and so she's really pulled out all the stops trying to win the Democratic caucus here. But Bernie Sanders, who is a admitted communist, he's an admitted socialist, and here people still want to vote for him. I guess all the gimmies and all the freebies are adding up. But Here is my audio clip with Bernie Sanders taking the lead in Iowa. That's right. He's taken the lead in Iowa. Recent poll show. So let me play this next audio.
Well, Hillary Clinton certainly is feeling the burn. That's because her Democratic challenger, Bernie Sanders, is igniting a flame of voter support. He's passed her just now in Iowa, and some polls, he's actually ahead of her also in New Hampshire. Take a look at this. This is the Quinnipiac. Bernie at 49% of the Democratic support. Hillary Clinton, 44%. And I got to tell you something. Back in December, that same survey showed Clinton at 51%, Sanders way back at 40%. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Julie Rudensky, and Mark Serrano. Julie, let me start with you. Any sense of panic? Because we've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Well, Hillary Clinton certainly is feeling the there's way back at 40%. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Julie Rudensky, and Mark Serrano. Julie, let me start with you. Any sense of panic? Because we've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the audio clip. Something happened to it. It's not playing. It's like 4 minutes. But anyway, Bernie Sanders has taken the lead against Hillary Clinton. And it was amazing because at the start of the race, really no one knew who Bernie Sanders was. He was just really a not known person, an unknown person in the Democratic scene and the political scene. And he has now overtaken Hillary in Iowa. And we got other caucuses coming up too where he's tied her in the states that she was expected to win. So, just amazing that he has taken the lead. So that's Bernie, that's good old Bernie Sanders. And go ahead and Google him and take a look. He kind of looks like a mad scientist. He gets up and he puts on a pretty good rally out there, but I think he could get nominated. And I'm not going to predict that. I'm saying that the probability is now there. And I'll get into the reasons why Bernie Sanders could be elected the Democratic forefront person. But there are also some other candidates that may step in on this, which is amazing itself. So what are the next up? I'm going to kind of get back to Bernie Sanders in a minute here. But I wanted to play one of the audio clips here. One of the biggest issues that's going to go forward with 2016 and the Democrats is climate change. This topic has reared its head over and over and over and over. They called it by various names. The climate change, and it was getting too hot out, it was getting too cold out, and the people that are pushing behind this are now calling it climate change. So climate in itself changes. But let me play this audio clip on climate change, on what President Obama has to say about it. And then I'll spend a couple more minutes on it.
In my first inaugural address, I committed this country to the tireless task of combating climate change and protecting this planet for future generations. 2 weeks ago in Paris, I said before the world that we needed a strong global agreement to accomplish this goal. An enduring agreement that reduces global carbon pollution and sets the world on a course to a low-carbon future. A few hours ago, we succeeded. We came together around the strong agreement the world needed. We met the moment. I want to commend President Hollande and Secretary General Bonn for their leadership and for hosting such a successful summit, and French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius for presiding with patience and resolve. And I want to give a special thanks to Secretary John Kerry, my senior advisor Brian Deese, our chief negotiator Todd Stern, and everyone on their teams for their outstanding work and for making America proud. I also want to thank the people of nearly 200 nations, large and small, developed and developing, for working together to confront a threat to the people of all nations. Together we've shown what's possible when the world stands as one. Today the American people can be proud because this historic agreement is a tribute to American leadership. Over the past 7 years, we've transformed the United States into the global leader in fighting climate change. In 2009, we helped salvage a chaotic Copenhagen summit and establish the principle that all countries had a role to play in combating climate change. We then led by example with historic investments in growing industries like wind and solar, creating a new and steady stream of middle-class jobs. We've set the first ever nationwide standards to limit the amount of carbon pollution power plants can dump into the air our children breathe. From Alaska to the Gulf Coast to the Great Plains, we've partnered with local leaders who are working to help their communities protect themselves from some of the most immediate impacts of a changing climate.
Okay, so that was President Obama about a month ago in Paris when he said that the biggest threat to this nation is climate change. Yes, you heard it, climate change. And he puts aside economic development, he puts aside terrorism, he puts aside the Middle East and all the fires that are going on there. He puts aside what a new Cold War is. Here's my other 2016 prediction. You're going to see a lot more posturing with Iran and USSR and China. There is going, in 2016, you will see an incident that could spark some kind of international, some kind of global incident, and there could be exchange of fire. I'm not going to say that it's going to be an all-out war, but our president's foreign policy has been so weak that these nations look at us as being weak, that he will not react. In Syria, when the president of Syria used certain kinds of chemicals and all that on his own people, our own president stood there on the global stage and drew a red line in the sand and said, Assad must go. And he's still in power. And what happened? Our president acted, actually, let me rephrase it, he didn't act at all. And his inactions caused a vacuum in international and global power. And Putin came in and saw that, and within a couple of months of President Obama not reacting to that, he came in and took over an air base and an army base in Syria. And now we've had Russian troops on the ground with tanks and air force for the last about 6 months. See, everyone forgets that. And he actually went to Paris right after the attack and talked about the biggest threat on the planet is climate change. And over 200 nations have signed on to this. That's not in fact true. 200 nations attended because it was a UN event. It was a UN-held event. Another thing that you're going to see, not only in 2016 beyond, it's what's known as a carbon tax. That's right, a carbon tax. This carbon tax, each country will be allotted a certain number of carbon emissions and so forth. In nations that produce more carbon emissions or whatever it is, that you're going to have to pay into an international fund carbon tax. And it has nothing to do about it does have to do about reducing pollution, but they're using that as a guise to control international and global taxes and the redistribution of wealth. And also, you heard in that audio clip that a lot of jobs were created by wind and solar energy. What happened to all these jobs in solar and wind? What happened to all these alternative fuels? That's right, they all went by the wayside. Remember Solyndra? Millions and millions and millions of dollars put into all these so-called, green energy and all these alternative energy companies, and they're all out of business because really all they spent were tax dollars. You and mine and everyone else's tax dollars were wasted on this, and yet our president goes about 2-3 weeks after the Paris attack and is out there preaching the biggest thing is climate change. Our president in 2016, again, I've already explained this in some of my previous shows, that the president is pretty easy to figure out. Once you figure out his agenda, all he does is promotes that agenda at any cost. All right? You can look at my previous shows on YouTube. I got a YouTube channel now. You can look up Dave Mierswa, Mierswa. All my previous shows also are on law540.com, law540.com. I did a huge show on the veteran scandal. So you would think that one of the biggest things that face America is taking care of our veterans. And you think that our president would take the lead in that. No, it's not on his agenda. So once again, once you figure out his agenda, he's pretty easy to figure out. So climate change is sticking around. Watch Hillary and Bernie pick up the gauntlet that Obama has been put down for the last 8 years. And they will pick up that gauntlet and they will run with it. So that's climate change. I got a couple minutes here before I got to go on break. So those are just some of the topics that I'm going to predict for 2016. All right, I got to go to break in just a couple of minutes here. I'm going to come back. I'm going to play a recent audio clip on Trump and what's going to happen in Iowa. So I'll make a prediction after the break. So stay tuned in to the Dave Mierswa Show, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes on the other side of the break here.